What's your plan, your timing, your age, your risk reward? We sometimes get into it deep enough that the client might be the wife, might be the husband, and they have different risk reward situations. So we have to evaluate that and what's comfortable for them if they're investing together, or they're investing their IRA account, which is what a lot of people do as well. Many people are sitting on $500,000, $1 million IRA accounts and don't realize they can invest it into both residential and commercial real estate.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. This show is for entrepreneurs who want to play bigger in business and in life. And as many of you guys know, I love bringing on different guests that help you expand and play bigger. And today I have a special guest who has played in the commercial space and has structured over $2 billion worth of real estate and has approached it from a personal touch from beginning to end. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I want to dive right into it. I'm curious to know, because a lot of our audience is real estate agents, is what got you to choose commercial over being a residential agent? And I know you've been doing this for many years.
Actually, it was a long time ago. I was in law school in California and was pursuing the dream of sports and entertainment law, and left law school and was hired by a company that was managing the assets of the Howard Hughes estate. So I started right into commercial from the very beginning, was hired away by a headhunter later at John Hancock Real Estate, becoming their youngest vice president at age 27. So I've always been in the commercial space. In fact, it was more the rarity the other way around. When we had our big balloon in 04, 05, I did dabble a little in residential because why wouldn't I? There were so many deals at the time, but it was more luxury even then. So now, unless you're a client or a relative, I pretty much don't do residential. We refer those back out to the agents who are referring us commercial deals. And so other than really the large luxury, we don't have a lot in the way of residential.
Yeah, and how do you think the landscape of commercial real estate has changed in the last few years? I'm sure it's changed a lot in the whole time that you've been doing it, but even like just after the pandemic too. And where do you see it actually going?
I actually want to probably go back a few years earlier when the crash of, if you will, 09 to 11 recovery timeframe. There was a lot of people at that time, myself included, who said it's going to take 7 or 8 years, and it really did. Commercial was a different animal even back then, because we have the ability with lenders to rewrite loans, which totally changes whether a real estate deal is in trouble or not. They have the ability to adjust rents. We had numerous lenders with COVID who took rent relief. And so one of the things we started looking at in terms of probably what I would refer to as more of an ultra healthy deal was, did that real estate deal need to take rent relief, or did they continue paying their rent throughout COVID? And that really told us the really ultra healthy deals versus those that still had some adjusting to do. But the real answer is, with the ability of the lending community to rewrite loans, to tack on a few months on the back end of a loan or various other things, adjust interest rates, we can survive a lot of things that residential has a big problem with as the economy goes.
Now, did you guys ever see a foreclosure market in the commercial space that, like, I think people talked about when we were going through the residential? I was an REO agent at one point. Did you guys see that in the commercial side?
We did, but a very light version of it because, as I said, so many adjustments. What we saw was some people taking on equity partners, other people just gracefully giving the property back rather than actual foreclosure. But for the most part, the loans were rewritten, deals were adjusted then with rent. That allowed deals to then underwrite properly, and the world went on.
I see that there's brokerages now with cloud brokerages and using less office space, or people downsizing in office space. How do you see the future of office spaces? And this also goes for my teams that are probably listening, especially considering the rise of remote work.
Yeah, I actually coached agents here recently with KW, and one of the things we saw was the teams especially wanting to expand, but two-thirds of the team isn't in the office. Maybe the rainmaker and the admin side, or one or two agents, or they'd come in, they'd do some calling in the morning, they had a bullpen for that or something. It certainly has changed. We see that too in terms of corporate America. They were not requiring their employees to come back to work. And so we see a shift in office market right now, the same way as you may recall the retail having a bricks and mortar question as it related to the real estate market of '08 to 2011. A lot of people said the retail market is just going to go in the tank. And actually all it did was it repurposed itself. We now have new types of tenants in those retail spaces. And in fact, we just had an article recently, just in Phoenix, but I assume in other places as well, that we have a historic low in retail vacancy. So that's an example of how over the course of 8, 10, 12 years, an entire market sector has repurposed itself. And I think the same is going to happen in office. We're starting to see some office repurposed to multifamily, some office repurposing to big box using. There's a lot of different opportunities. Medical office is another one that's happening. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to get the water in the building and redo it.
Yeah. You see, even here in Phoenix, some of the salon, right? They've taken
Yep.
what used to be probably a big grocery store is now salon suites. And that goes to your point of repurposing. What are some of
Exactly.
the trends out there when it comes to what's ahead for commercial with some of that repurposing?
Probably the biggest one we're experiencing right now is hotels. And it's going both directions based on age and quality of what's inside. They might be repurposing, and we have a couple of investors right now specifically repurposing more of that motel look into multifamily. And then we have the other direction where we have, as I just shared, the offices, potentially a high-rise office repurposing into a hotel. But again, the difficulty of that always is how do we handle the plumbing? Because suddenly you go from just needing plumbing in a couple of spaces to you need it quite frequently throughout the entire footprint of that building.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, and I'm just going to throw that out there. I said to somebody the other day, I would love to find a boutique hotel that I can make a co-working space, a retreat center. So maybe it's out there. Maybe Andrew will help me find one.
Would you mind it being in Italy?
I would not mind it being in Italy.
Yeah, we have something similar to what you're talking about there right now. We also have one similar to that in Michigan, different from a lot of agents who only do one state. We do across the whole US, although we specialize in the Sun Belt states. So primarily Florida, Texas, Arizona. We have deals in Georgia and Oklahoma, the Carolinas, and so forth. Ironically, California for us is more of an outgoing state. We don't have a lot of purchases there, but we have a lot of people exiting the state, and really excited about the cap rate that we have in Arizona or Florida compared to California.
What is our average cap rate here?
Probably for a typical deal might be, I would say somewhere along the lines of 6.5 to 8 right now. That was much lower. And we expect it to maybe recover a little bit in the next 6 to 12 months as interest rates recover as well. Whereas California, it's not uncommon to have 3.75 to 5.5 cap rates, and that's pretty low.
Yeah. So speaking of that, what do you think are the key indicators that make a good commercial investment for those that are listening or watching on YouTube?
Well, it varies by individual. What we do when we work with a new client, and we work with a lot of referrals from real estate agents. And so we work with them and then focusing any residential questions they have back to whoever referred us. So essentially, we try to look at variables from their age. Are they dealing with a divorce situation where they're trying to reaccumulate assets at a faster pace? So it's that risk reward analysis we're looking at. Are they giving us 5 to 10 years, or is it 15 years? Or in some cases, they want to do all this in 3 years. We need to understand that, because we didn't understand how the 1031 aspect of commercial real estate investing impacts their goal, their portfolio plan that we create for them. And then, of course, interest rates specifically have an impact, because it will depend on how much of a loan to value we can do, and at what level we can exponentially grow their portfolio. That's a key aspect of this growth.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that invest in like this buzzword of looking for storage units or mobile parks or RV parks, because obviously there's a lot of cash flow and very low maintenance, right?
Cash cows, as they're referred to. I did a lot of, in fact, yours truly, when I was at John Hancock, did one of the first major commercial real estate loans on a mobile home park and an RV park in Arizona. And there was an article about all the deals that we had done. I'd be dating myself, but let's just say it was in the 90s, and all the deals that we had done in RV and mobile home. And so as a result, that's a space I know pretty well. And it's a space that's really changed dramatically in the last 10, 15 years, because it used to be nobody really wanted the mobile home and RV. And so you could pick up deals that had tremendously high cap rates. And now they're really bought down heavily by various investors. And now they've sprinkled into the storage areas you just shared instead of the mobile home. And now those are being priced further up and up. So the cap rate's going down in inverse. So yeah.
What do you think is the biggest challenge commercial investors face today?
Commercial investors know just enough to be dangerous while not knowing as much as what they could know, because we are experts in this field and we've done it for decades. And we've done as many deals as I have. And I think the bio you read said 2 billion, and it's actually in excess of 4, but I'm not sure how critical that is, because to the average person, once it goes past a couple billion, what's another billion? But the reality is, I've done a lot of deals, and a lot of this over time becomes instinctual. You can, or I can, our team can, identify deals that are falling through the cracks. Identify deals that maybe the agent who is marketing them, another commercial agent, might not really understand the deal as well as we do. And so there's an opportunity for us as an investor or the agent representing the investor to get them an even better deal, or to understand whether this one should be held for 14 or 16 months versus 24 months, and why the difference. And so we really go quite in depth with our client, helping them understand a deal, because I would go so far as to say it's about understanding your exit strategy, the timing of when you're going to do this. Imagine if you could go into a stock market purchase knowing when you were going to sell, and within reason, approximately what you were going to sell it for. You'd be lined up all day to do that. And yet that's essentially where we are in commercial real estate. I can forecast fairly closely what you're going to sell it for based on a timeline. And so we can look at that and say, okay, based on this, you're going to have 500,000 down, and we bought this for 2 million, and you made 800,000 back. So you got a 60% profit on your 500 grand, but now we take that 800 grand into the next 1031. And so as a result, we can actually identify our rollover timing and how to help you build your portfolio a little faster, a little safer.
Yeah, so you specialize in 1031 and other alternatives. Do you want to share what some of those other alternatives might be that people should consider?
Sure. So in the 1031 realm, you're basically identifying when you sell, you put your money into a QI, or qualified intermediary account, because the rule with the IRS is you can't take possession of it yourself. So it sits in this account until you've identified, and you have to, within 45 days, identify a new deal. And so then over the next 0 to 180 days, you close that transaction, and that money goes from the QI back into the deal at title, and you now own the other deal, fulfilling all the IRS requirements of deferring your profit. So it's a tremendous opportunity. Beyond that, we go into alternative investments, from European international investments. We have one in Costa Rica right now for Central America, South America. We do a lot in Italy through owning a market center over there. We've been introduced to a number of banks who now basically contact us and say, hey, we have this wonderful deal. It's worth 9.2 million. We have a loan of 5.5 million on the deal. We're willing to sell it for 4.2. And so we have access to an over $9 million deal for $4.2 million. These are the types of investments that we have access to on an international. Now, there's lots of other rules involved, and we walk our clients through those, but whether investing in medical office, or industrial in the United States, or looking at a hotel property in another country, or something that's a villa that's being renovated, we really hold the hand of the investor, help them through how to safely do this and all the tax implications so that they come out the other end, what we describe as having hit a home run, and they want to do it again, and they want to tell their other clients, hey, you got to do this. This is fantastic. And for the agents who are watching this, imagine how good they look when they're the ones who referred this, and that client just turned 500 grand into 800,000 in 14 months. They're pretty pleased with their agent.
Yeah. So speaking of that, what do you think makes a good commercial agent? Obviously, you and I know that there's a good, like, average in our residential, but I'm sure it also applies to commercial, because I know that we've referred our clients that are looking for commercial to Andrew. So what makes a good commercial agent, and what should people be looking for?
First of all, thank you for that. I always appreciate the referrals, and especially from someone I respect so much as I do you, Raquel. So as far as the new agents, one of the things that we've identified after trial and error ourselves is you can have all the passion in the world. That isn't going to make you a great commercial agent. You can have all the financial side, and that's not going to make you a great commercial agent. What's intriguing to us is the individual who's succeeded in something in their life, in their career, and now wants a career change. They've shown both the passion and ability to understand and manage a business, understand the finances, and they can put all that together, and that they're willing to do the work. We tell new commercial agents, you need to be able to eat top ramen for 6 to 12 months, because it takes a while to get in there and break your knees on what needs to happen to figure out how to be a good commercial agent. We guide them. We do a weekly call. Yes, we are hiring, but we do a weekly call with our team. And then I also do a daily call with some of our agents, and we go over deals. And so they're actually watching it be done. We're talking about some of the clients that they're working with. If it gets into a contract state, I'm involved directly in that, so they're not hung out to dry. And as most agents would tell you, it does take probably 2 or 3 years of diligence to really be a successful commercial agent. But once you do, I believe you'll actually end up making more money than you would even in residential. Although that may not be true of somebody like Raquel, who's doing extremely well in residential and has multiple locations. But the average agent probably should be making 6 figures fairly quickly.
That's interesting. And I love that you say that you have a team. What makes you guys so different? Because you guys have a personal touch, like you said, that probably have lots of agents referring business to you guys. What makes you guys different?
Yeah. Actually, it's ironic. We receive as many referrals from non-KW agents as we do KW. So we really don't care where you're housed or affiliated. We'll pay you the referral fee either way. And we're really focused on making sure that happens. We make sure the agent does the email and text into our system. We have some of that automated, so we know exactly who's doing the referring. We know if it takes 8 or 10 months later, we always know where to go back and find exactly who it was. But we also keep the commercial agent updated. We try to keep them integrally involved because we want them to continue their relationship with whoever they actually referred. And like I said, if anything comes up about residential, we just get them on the phone immediately, say, hey, so-and-so had a question about residential. You're the agent. Let's talk about it, because we're the commercial referral and we want to show them that respect.
Love it. You talked about earlier, like the different markets. You're in Italy, you're pretty much all over the US. What are some of the emerging markets or types of commercial properties that you see poised for growth in the future?
Yes, I remember when everybody wanted to pounce on office because it was really taking off. And then everybody wanted to write a death knell for retail. They all work in cycles. So for us right now, the hot properties are triple net properties, single tenant, maybe somebody, at least a retail tenant, large retail, maybe a Walgreens, a large industrial tenant. I know we have a couple deals specifically related to industrial that are really healthy deals. In fact, I forgot to mention this earlier, but for your audience, we did a private page just for your audience on our website, which is ostranderrealestategroup.com/podcast. And so there's some deals that they can look at both in terms of commercial deals and international deals. It's not everything, but it's something to glance at and go, oh, that's intriguing. And they can follow up with more questions. So we like medical office and industrial right now, along with triple net. We're actually making probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 cap deals on those, which the more important statistic is cash on cash. That's the amount of cash you invested and the amount of cash you're receiving that year. Those are upwards of 10 to 14% return with an internal rate of return that takes into account your buy down of your mortgage and your depreciation of 15 to 20%. So that's what we're doing in the US. Internationally, we're probably closer to 25 to 40% returns annually, which are a little higher, a little more risk technically because it's overseas. But actually, I would tell you some of those deals we have are actually safer. So because they're such a low, we're buying them for pennies on the dollar in the sense of probably the average deal we're buying is 40 to 45 cents on the dollar right now.
That's so good. What factors should people look at if they're looking to, maybe divert some of their money from multifamily into commercial real estate?
Yeah, one of the things we want to look at, again, going back to that, what's your plan, your timing, your age, your risk reward? We sometimes get into it deep enough that the client might be the wife, might be the husband, and they have different risk reward situations. So we have to evaluate that and what's comfortable for them if they're investing together, or they're investing their IRA account, which is what a lot of people do as well. Many people are sitting on $500,000, $1 million IRA accounts and don't realize they can invest it into both residential and commercial real estate. We like to see a diversification. We really do. So we try to help them with that. As we get bigger in their portfolio, we'll diversify again into 2 or 3 deals, not just one. So
now, if they don't have the funds completely for like just one transaction, do you guys assist and help with putting groups together or partnerships together that they can invest with a group of people?
yeah, we can help them put together a syndication. We can also show them how to find the money they might have access to they don't realize. There's a lot of rich Uncle Charlie and Aunt Marge who have money that would gladly lend to them at a set rate, and that rate might seem high for Aunt Marge or Uncle Charlie, but based on the investment and what they're returning, if they're getting 30, 40% on a deal in Europe, are you really going to care that you're paying your relatives 8, 10%? You aren't. So there's a lot of opportunities and way to do that. But yes, we will help them put a syndication together as well.
Where has it been the secret money that you have been piling, right? And let's go find it.
You would be surprised when you start telling somebody what you're doing, what the return is, as we do in real estate. Do you know someone? Same answer in investment. Do you know someone that has some money just sitting, earning 1, 2, 3%? That usually creates the dialogue.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, I think we've done it in the investment residential side, but never on the commercial side. So I love that you're opening up this conversation to my audience, because now it's giving them some things to think about.
One thing right there, Raquel, they can do is they can actually add in the statement, we have access to some of the best commercial real estate people on our team. Doesn't have to be that I'm in the same agency or not. If we're going to work together on that client, we're on the same team, because if they're Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we're on Team Jones and we're trying to help them. So we are on the same team. So you can add that to your dialogue. And then when you get somebody that's inquiring, just give us a call and we'll put it together.
Yeah. What's one lesson that you wish you would have learned sooner when it comes to investing or doing commercial real estate?
I think I took the approach very early in my career of trying to be a little more passive than I should have been, with letting these people know I really know what I'm doing and I'm protecting them to the nth degree from the beginning to the end. But I wasn't as assertive back then as I am now. And I don't take chances with their money. I know this is going to sound silly, but when it comes to commercial real estate and it being a lot of money for them, I take the approach as if it's my own mother's investment. And the reason I do that is because it's their largest investment in most cases. So you may have 12 deals you're in the middle of processing, but for Mr. and Mrs. Jones, it's the biggest thing in their life right now. And so they want to hear from you frequently. They want to know you care, and they want to know what you're doing to help it grow.
So good. If people wanted to learn more from what you do about your team, how they can start investing in commercial, where can they connect with you?
OstranderRealEstateGroup.com is the best place to go. You can see some of the deals we work on. Again, OstranderRealEstateGroup.com/podcast. You'll see some deals that we specifically put out there for people who are listening to this podcast. And then my phone number is 480-229-6999. And my email address is andrewoaz@cox.net.
Awesome. And is there anything else that you would like to add or give advice on, since you are our expert?
Yeah. Probably one more thing, and that is to mention a little bit more about Europe. We actually specialize in Europe in the castles, villas, agriturismos, vineyards direction, which naturally appeals to a lot of people in the States, especially those wine lovers or those who want to travel to Italy. Imagine getting to do that, but you're visiting your investment. If that's something of interest, talk to us. We've got everything from hotels to large villas to I've got a deal right now that can be renovated. It's, I think, available for between 650 and 700,000, and yet the comps on it are about 1.3 million to 1.4 million, and you're literally just around the corner from George Lucas estate in Italy. So there's a lot of opportunities over there. Just tell me what your situation is, tell me you're interested, and then we'll explore it further together.
That's probably one of my favorite countries to visit, but why Italy and not another place?
We can go to UK. I've got deals there as well. UK and Scotland right now. I just got back from Scotland a week ago. We're working on some castles there. Really exciting. I'm following my dreams and my intentional life. And so I'd love to help other agents do the same for them.
Awesome. And as we wrap up, there's always one question that I ask every guest on the show is, what does Andrew do to play bigger in business or in life?
I think right now, what I just said, I'm pursuing 3 deals right now that any one of which, when they go through, will totally change my life. We are working with very large funds out of Europe to finalize those deals. We're probably within 2 to 6 months of finishing them, and we're converting one of the castles into a museum that we're ultimately going to give back to a charitable trust and give back to the people of Italy.
Oh, that is so awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much for being on our show. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate getting to know you all these years and seeing all the cool things that you are up to. Keep playing bigger, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.